minutes.
All right, call in the order Community Development Committee meeting for July 21st. Who we have is myself, Commissioner DeMar Mullen, Commissioner Kip, our President, Commissioner Nick Skull. We have our township members, Paul Patel, Director of Code Enforcement, and Dave Elzier, Director of Public Works. We also have our township engineer, Jim Hirsch, and our township solicitor, Alex Balmer, here. Are there any public announcements? Any announcements at all? Okay. We have any presentations? We have any public comments for non-agenda items? Nope. Okay. All right, you want to approve all the minutes for June 9th, 2025?
I'm good.
Changes.
Okay. So that is approved. And then we'll move on to,
The minutes on
CDC?
the first page, it says, I live in Ward 2, and I just wanted to make sure that I'm still living in Ward 6.
Yes.
You haven't moved me. Thanks for that. Do you see it in the
Yes,
first page?
I see it, yes.
Thank you so much.
Yep. See it there? Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on to land development subdivision. The land development application for 2405, 2425 Maryland Road. Welcome back, long time no see.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. While Jeff's getting set up here, I guess I can start. This is a project that the township's familiar with. Involves 2405 and 2425 Maryland Road. We were in front of the commissioners back in November of last year and obtained conditional use approval for the construction of a new apartment building on 2425 Maryland Road to be incorporated into the existing Willow Point Apartments development. If you look up at the screen here, you'll see an aerial plan of the existing site. I'll use my pointer here. On the left-hand side, you'll see the existing Willow Point Apartments development. That's 2405 Maryland Road. On the right-hand side, you'll see an existing industrial building. That's 2425 Maryland Road. Here's an aerial plan with the proposed development rendered into it. Again, you'll see 2425 Maryland Road, which is the site of a new apartment building, which will have 53 units, 1 and 2 bedrooms, which is exactly what was proposed as part of the conditional use application and approved by the township. There will be ground level parking with 4 stories of apartment units above that. This plan shows a more developed amenity space that was submitted in connection with the land development plans. There will be amenity space on parts of both the ground floor and the first floor of the new building that will be available to all residents of the development, the new building, and the existing Willow Point Apartments development. You can see on the exterior here outside the building there is new amenity space proposed in that location. Again, that will be available to all the residents of the apartment development. There'll be enhancements to existing amenity space in the clubhouse building, which is right over here in this location. There's also additional outdoor amenity space that's proposed in this location near what I believe is Building 3. You can see again, as we presented in the conditional use application, frontage improvements here, including sidewalk, a crosswalk along the entrance drive to the new building, extending all the way to the property line here. You'll hear from our engineer in a moment, but in the resubmission to the township recently, we are showing the extension of sidewalk along this property frontage here in furtherance of the township's goals for connectivity to the power line trail. If you recall, as part of the original Willow Point Apartments approval, the cross-county trail segment in the back here was constructed. You can sort of see them on this plan here, and I know that our engineer will talk a little bit in a little more detail in a moment, but we have proposed as part of this resubmission the construction of some ADA ramps and crosswalks and signage in an effort to get folks who might be using this trail segment through the site here and directing them out to the frontage on Maryland Road as part of pedestrian connectivity improvements for this project. So as I mentioned, there have been some changes to this plan since it was originally submitted as a land development plan I'm going to have Brian Conlon, our civil engineer, come up now and just describe those for you and also discuss the waivers that are being requested. And we have Jeff DiRomaldo here as well, who can talk to you about the building elevations that have been submitted, which again are consistent with the conditional use application. And then of course, we're here to answer any questions that you may have.
Good evening, everyone. Brian Conlon with Langen Engineering. Andy did a good job of describing the site, but I'll just add a little bit more detail. Just for context, again, let me go back one. Oop, wrong way. There we go. The existing site, again, over here, just want to note there are existing 3 access points. With the proposed development and the new apartment building here, we have 1 access point, and then we're connecting into the existing circle, if you were, on the development that exists today. Again, all the sidewalk connections from this new building that go out to Maryland Road, and then also there's an internal connection across a crosswalk here, a raised pedestrian crosswalk, to the clubhouse and the pool of the main development, so we're providing that connectivity. As Andy said, again, from the existing trail that's in the rear here, we are adding new ADA connections to the sidewalk connection that will take them through the site onto Maryland Road. And we have signage, that's what those, you can't read them, but that's what those call outs are on there. And then again, as he mentioned, we're extending the sidewalk along Maryland Road, or we're gonna work with the township for when that does happen, for the power line trail that we believe is about 300 feet just off the page here to the east. The new building, again, is very similar to the existing building, number 2, the building that's in the middle of the site here. It's kind of a carbon copy. It's about 16,500 square feet. We're providing a total of 80 parking spaces to support this new building. That's 50 on the perimeter. 50 on the perimeter in the parking lot here, and then there's 30, you see kind of screened there inside the building on the first floor. Overall, the landscaping, we're providing a total of 106 new trees, a combination of shade, evergreen, and ornamentals. In addition to that, I think the landscape rendering shows it pretty good with the landscaping palette that we're proposing. 148 new shrubs and close to 700 different perennials, ground covers, flowers, etc. Stormwater management, we are addressing stormwater management. You don't see it here, but under this parking lot here, there'll be a subsurface infiltration basin that'll collect the runoff and connect to the existing drainage systems at the Willow Points, the existing building. And all utilities are basically on site. We're tying into the existing infrastructure. As mentioned, again, we did receive review letters from Gilmore, from Jim and his team, from Bowman, your traffic consultant, and the county. We pretty much complied with all the comments. We've actually made a resubmission addressing those comments. One of the ones are this driveway, actually. There was a comment about aligning our driveway with the driveway across the street with Maryland Road, and you see that's done on this revised plan submission. And then pretty much we've complied with all the comments, besides a handful of waivers that I can go through now. And if there's any comments on the site plan, I'll go through the waivers we're requesting.
Are you saying if we would move this forward, whether it be tonight, another month or so, you're going to comply with all of the comments from the 3
Correct, yes.
reports?
Yeah, and we've actually already submitted addressing those comments, yes. We submitted back to the town.
Okay.
Minus a couple waivers that I'm going to go through. We are seeking relief on some waivers.
That's all, that was just my question.
And so the waivers, I'll run through real quick. I have on my... Okay. So from section 317D from the ordinance, we're asking for relief from the 20-foot separation between the outside wall of the building and the curb in the parking area. So that's basically just, you see along this frontage here, the sidewalk adjacent to the building. That's a similar waiver we did receive for this development here. And again, I note that we have plenty of room for the sidewalk and access to the buildings there, and we are landscaping as much as we can along that building perimeter as well. We're asking for a waiver for a 6-inch reveal curb where your ordinance requires 8-inch reveal curb. I think that's pretty standard in all types of development, and that again also is what's on the existing development that we'd be matching. waiver to request. There, again, you have the waiver for 15 by 20-foot islands with a shade tree in those islands. We have one island right there. I apologize, I'm tough with the pointer. Right there that looks like a little ice cream cone. Does not meet those standards, again, for our parking counts. But also, we couldn't plant the shade tree there because that's also above our subsurface stormwater management, and we don't want to plant any trees on top of that. A waiver, there's an ordinance requirement for no more than 6 parking spaces in a row without the 15-foot wide island. Again, we do have more than 6 parking spaces in a row without those islands. But again, I remind that we are providing a pretty robust landscaping plan, and that also is consistent with the existing development. A waiver for a 15-inch storm pipe where you have a minimum of 18-inch required. Again, an 18 inches oversized. We have our calculations that support our 15-inch, and I think Jim and his team supported that waiver. And finally, to permit less replacement trees we have one heritage tree on site that requires a certain amount of replacement trees. We are removing some other trees that were meeting all of the requirements, but for the heritage trees, it would require another 15 trees. And again, you see our palette here, there really isn't room to plant 15 more trees. And our landscape architect did a pretty good design, I think, with the program that you see. And again, I emphasize too, you see right behind our site, we have a very large buffer that we're not our property, but you see we have a pretty large canopy tree area back here that's buffering us from the turnpike. And with that, again, that's all I have. I'll certainly be happy to answer any questions for me. And then I have Jeff to come up to talk about the building.
I don't have any if you're going to comply with everything. If you, and that would be a condition that I would put on, because we didn't see the brand new one where you complied with them, but I know you guys have been working on it and stuff. We did get something today on it, but that's my biggest thing.
Oh, I'm in agreement. I agree with that. If we're going to comply with everything that the 3 entities have mentioned, then I'm good to go.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about trees that you can plant. Are you willing to contribute to our tree treasury?
The fee in lieu of?
Yes.
Yes.
If the committee decides to push this forward, then you and I can work on the amount for that fee in lieu.
Oh, sure, yes, of course. We'll work with the township on all the compliance items for sure.
Yeah, I think the only reason you can't put the sidewalk all the way down now is it is not your property.
Well, it would be in the right of way, so it's your property, basically. We actually reached out to Bowman, your traffic engineer, to see if they had any right-of-way plans to, see where that delineation is, because we would need to do some survey and things like that. You see, actually, well, it's actually off the page. Actually, here, yeah, in this property here, you see the island there. We would need to survey and things like that to make sure the sidewalk would fit, and it's noted on our plans that we'll work with the town. It's not designed, but we'll work with the town to eventually design that, or, however you guys want to process that. But it's noted on our plans to address that.
Any public comments on this? Yep, Sanjay.
Hi, I have a question for you.
Oh, yes.
The additional sidewalks for the cross-country trail and along the road and to the power line trail, has the calculation for impervious surface been updated to include those?
Yes, the one in the roadway is not our property, so it wouldn't be calculated in our property, but everything that's on our property, yes.
Okay, all right. I heard you go through this list of waivers. I have not heard one hardship. Can you explain the hardships that are preventing you from complying with these requirements?
I don't know if you could explain the hardships. We can go through them again.
I would just say, I think that
They're design waivers.
I think that he did explain the justifications for the waivers, and they're in his letter that was submitted to the township. And I'm sure the township is more than capable of evaluating those waivers in connection with its consideration of this approval.
So you're unwilling to say what
No,
the hardship is?
He just said them, and we submitted a letter to the township with our revised plan submission that contains the justifications.
So you are unwilling to state what the hardships are then for complying?
I think they were stated, is what I'm saying.
I think also it's not necessarily a hardship, it's more of a practical item as well. And I think your engineers, as they review our request, I think they would agree with the practicality of the request.
Well, all right. What is the practicality?
I'll use the 6-inch curb, for example.
No,
where-
that's fine. I don't have any issue with that.
Which ones do you have issues with?
I have an issue with every other one of them.
I would say it's at the discretion of the board and your consultants.
Okay. Here's my concern. These are requirements of this site. Not practical, and I haven't heard you give an example of what not practical means really, but not practical and hardship means that there has to be a hardship. Practicality doesn't come into this. There has to be a hardship for requesting these waivers. Okay. And furthermore, when you say you've done these things where practicable, in other words, when you put trees where they are practicable, where it's not practical is because you're planning something that you want. But approval doesn't go like, I will comply only if what I want to put there doesn't interfere. And that is not how the ordinance is supposed to work. So, you know, when you say it's not an entitlement that it's optional to comply, it doesn't work that way. You know what the requirements are and you design your site to comply with those requirements.
I would just add again, we've submitted the waiver request letter. I think that it's clear that the law allows the township to grant modifications of the subdivision and land development ordinance under certain circumstances. I don't want to reiterate everything that Brian just said, but if you recall, there were a number of waivers that he mentioned that were previously granted for the Willow Point Apartments development. One of the things that we're trying to accomplish here is to incorporate this development into that development and maintain some consistency. So there are a number of waivers associated with that, including the separation distance between the building and the parking, the 6-inch reveal, which apparently there's no issue with, and the planting islands as well. And you heard the justification related to stormwater management facilities there. In addition, we have to have a place to put the snow, which is a requirement of our conditional use approval. That's one of the designated areas. Also, you heard that we were willing to contribute to a fee in lieu in waiver in consideration of the landscaping waiver, and you heard how we're not able to fit those shade trees on this site, and you heard details with regard to all of the landscaping that's been proposed as part of this project. And I think the last one is the 15-inch storm pipe in lieu of 18. I think that's something that might be supported by your township engineer. Thank you.
Okay, so whatever was approved in the last development does not apply to this development. So that's not a reason to, that's not a legal reason, and Alex, you're welcome to tell me I'm wrong, but that does not then require us to approve it again this time.
There's a lot to unpack there. I will say,
What did you say? I didn't hear you.
I said there's a lot to unpack there. You just kind of seemingly, in my opinion, added 3 different things in at the same time. I will say that, of course, when we're talking about land development, that the fact that there's a common property that was developed is certainly something that the board has to take in consideration when this piece of land is being developed. Especially in this, and Jim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I heard from the applicant that they're tying in utilities, they're sharing common features of adjoining properties. So yes, those things can be considered. Now, I think the point that you were trying to make is just because a waiver was granted on the first phase of the project doesn't necessarily mean that it has to automatically be granted in the same form on the second phase of a project. That is correct. I mean, we are looking at these things, right, as separate applications, of course. I mean, this building was built several years ago. Of course, the Saldo could have been updated, standards might have changed. But nonetheless, the fact that that property exists, it's sharing common utilities, it's sharing common design aspects, and it's under common ownership, certainly those factors are allowed to be taken into consideration as to whether what they've proposed as a waiver, in this case, is reasonable under the circumstances. So it's a little bit of both.
I have one question. When we did conditional use, weren't you going to join these properties?
I meant to mention that, I left my notes, but yes, there is a lot consolidation as part of our package. It is one parcel as part of our proposed development, that's correct.
I thought I heard that before.
Yes.
Okay, I want to leave this comment with you. If anyone thinks that it's unreasonable in this case or any other case to disregard what's in the ordinance, if anyone thinks that's unreasonable, I ask you to think about that, because the builders, the developers know what the requirements are going in. And to come in later and say, well, we can't do this because we want to put a building there, we want to put a parking lot there, is a little bit, they already know what the requirements are. So they are coming in expecting a variance, and that's not the way, the ordinance is the ordinance. So they should be coming in prepared to comply.
I would say they should, but in 16 years, we've never had a property developed. And I've been here in 16 years here, 15 years in zoning here. I've never had one that didn't have waivers. And some of them might be 50. The constraints of the shapes of properties sometimes just makes it a problem to make it conform completely.
Right, I understand what you're saying, but when we are giving up open space, we're giving up many trees, when we're further stressing the stormwater management systems, those sort of things, I'm asking you to take another look at that, because that is damaging to our environment, and
I believe you're wrong there with the stormwater management. Right now, there's nothing. At least here, they have to contain it. And that's been something that we put in here probably 12 years ago. Every property that is redeveloped, we hold the water on that property during a storm, up to a certain amount. Right now, that property, it's just running right into the creek.
But they are asking for a waiver for the size of the pipe.
I would rather it be 4 inches. Let it back up on their property. But that's not really feasible or what we really want. But if their calculations of their impervious comes out to, and again, I'm not an engineer, if Jim says that pipe will hold this, then yes, I am okay with that. But it's a matter of, Jim has to be the expert on that, not people that are not engineers.
Okay. Again, I'm going to say that, I'm going to put it in more blunt terms with regard to the loss of the trees and the loss of the other things. Maximizing profit is not a reason to provide a waiver, and that's what it comes down to.
Well, again, yes, the law is written in the words. It does use the word undue hardship, but there's been a litany of case law that essentially boils the phrase down to, is this requirement contained in your subdivision land development ordinance unreasonable in the context of the project? And that is a phrase that is open to interpretation, obviously, but we're not talking about impossibility, let's put it that way, in order to grant a waiver. Again, as Commissioner McFatridge referred to. Every lot is different. Every lot has a different constraint imposed on it. So when you're attempting to apply a uniform standard set of regulations, such as a saldo, to a particular property, there will be unique things about it that will need like a little bit of deviation from it. So the question for the board and the remainder of the board when they go to vote on the full approval resolution, right, is that waiver request unreasonable in the context of the project itself? So literal one-to-one enforcement is always, of course, the goal, but practically, no property can ever achieve that. But that's the goal of the saldo, right? Is to get 90% of the properties that are developed compliant with the new standard, and to work with the properties that exist out there that can't adhere to it to at least get them to the modern standards as close as possible. And that's what we're talking about with waivers.
Well, I think they could put 15 more trees, yeah, because that's all going to be one property. They could put them on the other side. You're going to put them next to another tree, and it's happened before. I can tell you right on Fitzwater Town Road. They're so dense, 5 years later, half of them died because they're just too dense, the way how they were planted to make their quota. And I don't agree with that either.
I would just add to that, there's a number of shade trees I think are proposed along the frontage as well. You know, could you possibly locate trees there? Sure, but we're also trying to provide some frontage and view shed of this particular building in this development from Maryland Road instead of totally burying it behind shade trees.
Any other public comments?
Just a quick comment. I want to remind you that your new landscaping should be native plants.
And yes, they will all be, yes, correct.
Oh, you have other comment?
No.
Oh.
If you'd like to see the renderings, we do have our architect here. They're very similar to what was proposed as part of the conditional use, but I'll follow your lead.
I'm good. I've seen enough of the renditions. I'm
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Thank you.
So do we,
I'm okay with it approving as long as they have the agreement that they will, is it Paul, Jim, and traffic? Who's our?
Bowman?
Bowman, yeah.
You talking about the guy?
They changed the name. As long as they agree to take care of the items there and work with this staff to take care of them to make it still a nice project that we think, then I'm okay with moving it forward with that condition. And that's up to you to accept it or not.
Yeah, that's acceptable.
I'm okay to move it to the board.
I'm in favor of it, yeah.
Then it'll get moved forward
September
for a
board.
full vote for the whole board.
Move this to August
August
4th or September's meeting?
August.
Got about a week and a half here to
It's
turn.
they have to meet everything with Paul. So what's a reasonable?
Correct. Do a resolution for August.
I mean, I can always turn it around within a week's time.
Sure. And any approval would be conditioned on staff and our consultants' review and approval of the revised plans.
As long as you think it's time that you know it better than we do.
Okay. Okay, so August?
Good.
August meeting?
August 4th.
August?
I'll move this for the agenda item for August 4th.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so the next agenda item is new business. The Upper Moreland Hatboro Joint Sewer Authority Building Permit Fee Waiver Request for the pump station.
Yeah. They're happy to see it.
Yes.
I'm Eric Windholt, General Manager of the Upper Moreland Hatboro Joint Sewer Authority. We have a project going on right now, which is a small expansion of our existing primary effluent pump station. And we are looking for a waiver for the building permit fee. To keep the project going, I did drop off to Paul the permit fee. However, we are looking for a waiver for that. We have waived sewer connection fees for the township in order of tens of thousands of dollars. For example, the Mason's Mill park connection of the restroom, instead of hauling it off all the time. Worked with Pat to get that done, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have about that project.
I have no questions, but Kip, do you have anything?
No, it's the same dollar for a taxpayer. We either pay it to you or we pay it, they pay it to us. It's
That's
the
kind of
same
the
dollar.
philosophy.
And yes, thank you for all the things that you help us with when the township has a problem.
Nick?
I agree. I'm happy.
Any public comments? Commissioner comments? Okay, we'll move that to the full board meeting for August 4th.
Thank you for making it nice and short.
Yep. And another new business item is the consideration of canceling the August 18th Community Development Committee meeting. I'm 100% on board with that. Canceling the August 18th meeting?
What am I gonna do?
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
good,
cool.
yes.
Any public comments? Cool. All right, that's approved too, so no meeting in August for us. All right, so we'll move on to, yes.
As a commission, are we into commissioner comments?
No, I'm in new business. I'm in new business. I'm going to new.
We're on reports.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
wait till.
Okay, so we're moving on to the monthly reports. We'll start with code enforcement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee has my June 2025 report, and also as a comparison, they have my June 2024. I have nothing to add to either of those reports, but would be happy to answer any questions the commissioners may have.
I have no questions.
I have no questions either.
Thank you for handling the things that we call you with, that we have a problem.
Sure, yep, give me a call.
And we'll move on to public works report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have my June report for sanitation and public works. Just like Paul, I have nothing further to add, but we'll gladly answer any questions.
I have one question for you on all the potholes. And we know there's state roads and county roads, Turwood. It's been there since the snow. Do you have a list of all the potholes?
I do, and I have a list that I send them weekly, daily. Whenever we get a call of a state road, we take a picture and we send it.
Okay. Would you send that to Pat? I want to craft a letter as long as the other commissioners are here, kind of blasting PennDOT. I want it to go to them, to the county, and to the state, and the letter should go to Josh also, that it's unacceptable. Our roads are nice. Anything that we own, we take care of it. The state roads, we have potholes for 4 months sitting there. They have not touched them. People are hitting them all the time, just getting tired of it. So I think we can put a letter together, and I'll work on it with you if you want, and we'll send a letter. It's just annoying. You know, we take care of ours within a week, and usually the same day. But 4 months, it's ridiculous.
There's a beauty
On Turwood.
on Turwood, going down the hill from Edge Hill, right? It was filled in once, all blew out. There's a yellow paint around it, and I just went by it over the weekend, and it's
It was one of the ones that we marked before when we were having problems with it coming out. I probably marked 10 on Edge Hill Road heading towards Turwood, and they finally got around to do them, and a lot of them are failing again.
Is there water springs underneath the road or something like that?
No, I don't think they're repairing them correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's been orange paint on
Yep,
Turwood and
from us.
Edge Hill for I don't know how long.
And then there's a storm inlet on Turwood, right next to Lundy, that is falling apart and the road's undermining, and they know about that.
That was my only question.
Any questions, public comments on the public works report? Okay, we'll move on to the engineering report.
Thank you. Our July engineering and landscape architecture reports are in your packets. I don't have anything further to add, but would be happy to answer any questions.
I do not have any questions.
No, I'm good.
Okay, we'll move on to EAC.
Hello. As my report says, the pollinator garden at Mason's Mill is doing well. Also, unfortunately, birds have hit the doors, the glass doors at the library, and so we did add feather-friendly, the dots to those. So hopefully they at least won't hit there. Would like to thank the Public Works Department for obtaining the storm drain medallions and the glue to put them on. The weather today isn't so bad, but it's been so hot that we thought, let's do these in September. So we've scheduled September 6th. We'd also like to investigate having some type of ordinance for naturalized landscape or meadows. And I emailed you guys a proposed copy, a model. So this from Natural Lands Trust, who this is what they do, is put together model ordinances. And as you know, a lawn actually provides absolutely no habitat for much of anything. It also doesn't help with stormwater. Stormwater runs off a lawn almost as quickly as off impervious surface. And we're losing, again, more and more habitat. So when we have something like a meadow type area, then it provides habitat for bees and butterflies and the insects that birds need in order to survive. And so what we, you obviously don't want it to just be overgrown lawn. That's not appropriate. But things like native plants, native grasses, native wildflowers still have a mowed strip around it. And so you don't want it, just look like an unkept lot, and an unkept lot would still not be legal. But I would really like us to see, something that makes, kind of sets out the rules, so to speak, what it can be, and provide this for our residents of the township. And of course, it would also help with stormwater, because higher plants, of course, are going to stop that stormwater and soak it up. So it'd help with MS4, right? So just wanted to know if we could consider that. Yes, no, maybe?
We'll give it some thought, yeah.
Yeah, we just got it.
Yeah,
We have to
okay.
review it,
I
yeah.
got about half of it.
Okay.
It had some questions, so
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll look at it?
the questions will go to Alex.
Well, we'll look at the ordinance and get back to you.
Okay, all right. And anything else?
In September, because we're not meeting in August.
Oh, yeah. right. So any other questions?
No,
Okay.
thank you. We'll move on to the Historical Commission.
Have to come up here, guys. So Sue Worth Lamanna, President of the Historical Commission. You have my report for July. Do you all have any questions? Because I just want to point out one comment, that actually it's the second and third on my report, talking about the greater impact that we might have as your arm in the Historical Commission for the preservation of buildings in the township as a whole. None of us were happy to see that member of our inventory go down. We understood, we've discussed this here before, I've come before you in the past 2 months. Paul certainly was engaged in all of that as well. So we certainly want a better process for that. But I noticed Keith was here tonight earlier, and of course he would like to have some statements to you all as a business owner, and talking about the Aaron Fort block and what could be done there and how we can support one another to keep these buildings applicable to modern day and people's use of them, but not tear our township down and look like, I'm sorry, New Jersey. And we've talked about this here a lot too. But that is a key thing. And I had approached our township manager to have the opportunity to maybe have you come to one of our meetings and talk about this, so that we would have a better understanding, Pat, of what we can and cannot do, Alex, but where we could, what would it look like going forward?
Thank you. We're speaking with other communities to see what ordinances they have or what policies and they have in place and what structure to see if there's anything there that we can duplicate or replicate here in Upper Moreland, to make some determinations how we might be able to move forward. I've spoken with you and I think one other member, and we haven't gathered all of our research on that yet, but we are, and we'll get back to you.
And we
and
do
I'll
like
share
to
that.
talk about history being an economic driver. We have to have a practical sense of the fact that it is. And you do know, because I brought it before you all, Jackie Sharapinski is very engaged in film and in independent film, and she's a key member of the Historical Commission and an historian herself. Obviously, she runs the museum at KI. And her point is very keen that Netflix is putting studios up in New Jersey, and, you know, the East Coast is becoming an area for development in terms of movie making. And why not us, you know? We filmed out at the Farmstead twice thus far. So we just want to keep going with whatever that might bring to us. We've got barns and farms still left, so that would be our thinking going forward. If you have any other questions or ideas, you know, we're going to circle back on that one in the next couple of months. Anything, commissioners? We're good?
Good.
Okay, thank you.
I'm good, thank you. Kip, you had a commissioner comment?
Yeah, with comments?
Yep.
One, I do want to thank the employees again. And when it's 90 to 100 degrees out, we got police officers with all kinds of body armor and their vests and this and that, and they're standing in 90-degree sun pulling people over and dealing with irrational people sometimes. I want to thank them, our trash guys. I work outside all day. I can't imagine doing what they do all day in 100 degrees and 90 degrees. I just want to say thank you to them because they're out there every day. That was my main thing. And the storm, while we just didn't have electric, these guys are out there cutting trees down and doing all kinds of stuff. Did a great job on that, getting everybody else's done before the township. They went around and helped residents and made sure it was all picked up, the people that put stuff out. They did it before they got to our stuff, and that's what they should do, because the residents are the ones that needed it. Okay.
Thank you. And then we are adjourned.
Okay, very good.